Damn it, TPCI. You had one job to do, and you screwed it up. That Game Freak is making incredible games with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the only thing you needed to do was make a competent, competitive format, and you can't even manage that. So welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here to our now yearly video about why everyone in the competitive department of the Pokemon Company needs to be fired and the whole thing scrapped and burned to the ground so it can be rebuilt in a hopefully useful way, because this is a joke. But before we get into the layers of tragedy that is the VGC 2020 format, I need to make a lot of things clear. Because there is so much negativity, there is so much drama in the Pokemon community because of Pokemon Sword and Shield, we need to cover some nuance. For starters, this is not a win for Bring Back National Dex. I need to make that clear, so I will say it again. This is not a win for Bring Back National Dex, because I can already see the comments.
Well, Verlisify, you're such an idiot and a hypocrite, because you said the biggest reason why they're removing Pokemon is for competitive balance. Now that competitive is ruined, there was no reason to remove all the Pokemon, so you're just wrong.
The thing is, it's been stated in multiple interviews now that the biggest reason for reducing the Pokemon is for competitive balance. However, VGC isn't the only way to play competitive. I see this as like a massive misconception that if you go on the battle spot, if you go online, if you share a friend code with someone and then you battle them, that's all competitive. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you drop 2 Pidgeys and a Jigglypuff, boom, that's competitive right there. So the thing is, if competitive is better, competitive is going to be better, which has already been proven by reducing the roster of Pokemon. VGC 2014 was the best time we ever had for VGC as well as competitive battling. Everyone was like open up to Pokemon X and Y. They wanted to learn breeding. They wanted to learn how to get better at the games. They wanted to be better than their friends and stuff like that. And it was rewarded because we had the Kalos Dex. So you reduce the roster. You know, not every Pokemon was usable in VGC 2014. The National Dex thing has been an issue for years now, but for some reason people only want to blindly hate on Pokemon Sword and Shield. However, it gets results. We had more enjoyment out of VGC, we had the most balanced VGC we've ever seen, and Pachirisu won Worlds. So it works. Just making a terrible championship schedule, rule set, and point system doesn't change that that's still successful for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And like I have to reiterate, it's also not the only way to play competitive. If VGC is terrible, but the online is fire, then Pokemon Sword and Shield are still better games. So what it means is that a few hundred people out of 15 to 20 million people aren't going to earn a few pennies in the VGC championship system. Because from what it looks right now, they're not really putting anything to supporting it. So it's like they're just letting VGC die instead of making an esport. Pokemon was an esport and there's actually like real money on the table. That's millions of more sales. That's millions of more people getting into Pokemon, because then there's tens and tens of thousands of dollars to earn as a Pokemon champion. But they don't want to support that. However, that's not going to change, you know, the 15 to 20 million people that are buying the games, and that these games are still going to be great regardless. And lastly, this isn't for all of VGC. It's just VGC outside of Japan that's pretty terrible because of Pokemon Company International. That Japan system is the dream. You qualify online to go to a national event, and then what you place in the national event gets you seeding for Worlds. Why didn't the Pokemon Company just do that for the rest of the world? It baffles me as to why this isn't how it is, because you get more people in, you get more quality, and then there would also be less hacking, because the online hack check is better than what happens at the events. As seen by what happened a few years ago, where people that were found to have cheated on the online qualifier, they had to refund their prize money, and they were disqualified from Worlds. And we've been seeing more people getting caught online through the hack check, especially with the Nintendo Switch. If you've done any save modification, it's not going to be safe to go online at all, especially if there's going to be like other detections and other things in place for this. However, save modification system seems to work better in person, even though it feels like the more manual way would be able to figure it out. I don't know. So, no, this is not a win for bringing back National Dex. But now let's talk about how VGC 2020 is ruined if they are going to keep on this pace and they don't change anything. For starters, you can qualify for Worlds on Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. What? On the video game side, the 2020 season will begin with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on the Nintendo 3DS. Stay tuned for more information on format updates. So we don't even know the format. Are they just going to keep in legendaries like, we'll just keep the Ultra format for, you know, the next couple months, and then when like Pokemon Sword and Shield happens, we'll just go entirely to Generation 8. Like that baffles me because there's literally enough events to qualify for Worlds by not even touching Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, let's just say in a perfect world, Pokemon Sword and Shield is completely hack-free. You can still hack all you want in Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, not get caught, qualify for Worlds, do nothing in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then you just have Worlds as a still hacker in a hack-free game. Couldn't you just wait a couple months? Worlds happens in August, September, October, November, December. You can't wait 4 months to just go start 2020. It's a new decade, a new console, a new generation. Just have January kick off all the events and make VGC an actual logical format where you qualify on something that's actually meaningful for the games that you're playing. Scott Glaza, is that you? Alpha Zealot, just get out of here. Pokemon, fire these people. They're destroying your game. You could have millions of more sales and an actual hype competitive format, and you refuse to allow it because of the incompetent people that work at your company. I don't understand. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that it's $50 to $70 to enter these tournaments. You can buy a copy of Pokemon Sword and Shield for the same cost as going to one of these events where there's low turnout of high density of hackers with a very poor prize payout compared to the money that you're paying in. I don't know of many tournaments that have like 100 people entering with a $60 entry fee but only reward like $1,000, $1,500 or something like that. It's insane. So it does nothing for you on an esports scale, and it makes me wonder why VGC is still done in person at all. Do they just have the venue for TCG? Because TCG is growing. TCG is huge. And then they just like shove the VGC players in the corner. So it shows that they don't care about VGC, but they're still charging them more to like kind of back the venue space, but there's not enough people to make it worthwhile. I don't know, but that's still just like something ridiculous that needs to change. But then that brings us to the championship point system. This is where all the broken stuff happens, because if you win a regional event, you're the best player in your state, you don't get to go to Worlds. However, if you're top 32 in multiple regional events, you do get to go to Worlds. I don't understand it. So I pulled up a couple of other things, like comparing it to like older formats and stuff like that. That's prize, which we'll talk about. So yeah, here's how it is for 2019. Currently, best finish limit is 8, and then what that means is you can get top 32, an event that only gets 100 people, even though some VGCs aren't even getting 100 people. But let's just say you're in the top 33% of players there, or top 30% of players there, just barely, but you have money, you have free time. You can travel to every state, every regionals, and you just keep on trying. Maybe you're a top 50 player and you get lucky 8 times out of like 12 or something. You get enough points to qualify for Worlds. However, if you're a person that doesn't have free time, college, jobs, obligations, not enough money to actually make it out to events, and you are the best player in your region, and then you get first place, that's it. Those 200 championship points, they do nothing for you. It's dead. It's over. It's done. Isn't that just fair and exciting? And then that goes into the international championships. I've talked about this in my other videos. Internationals is the worst thing to happen, because with nationals, you keep those points in the region. With internationals, you can just have people from all over going around stealing the points, and then that just makes it harder for people to qualify, especially when there's a point disparity. Europe, Oceania, they need less points to qualify than US, Canada, Latin America, so North and South America, just the Americas, is harder to get in than Europe, Oceania. And with the internationals, we have players from like North America flying over to Oceania, getting all the top spots, and then the Oceania players are more disadvantaged, but it's also like the other way around. Someone from Europe, they come in, they get top at nationals, or internationals in America, well then those points that would get someone to Worlds just don't matter anymore. So that's a thing. And then also, like, you know, top 8 players from US and Canada rating zone get a bye. Let's see, actually, wait, what is it? You know, there's like travel and all kinds of awards. So some players will earn an invitation that allows them to advance directly to day 2 without playing in Friday's rounds. These invitations will also include travel awards. Day 2 invitations are divided by rating zones as follows. So top 8 players from US and Canada, but top 16 players from Europe. So Europe is a larger area with less events and then less points to get in, and then the top 16 gets more rewards than the top 8, or like the same rewards as the top 8 in US and Canada. And it's not like 8 from US and 8 from Canada, and then same with all this. So it doesn't make any sense. And then also what this means is that championship point farming allows you to progress even further because of travel awards. So if you get first place, like let's just say you only go to nationals, And let's see if I can pull up the, there it is. You only go nationals, you get first place. That's 500 points. Well, people have like thousands of championship points because they do every regionals, they do every internationals, they do every mid-season showdown, and oh man, I don't even remember what they're called, the premier challenges and stuff like that. So you get first at internationals and you don't even get a ticket to worlds because of the championship point system. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I don't think there's like individual prizes anymore for participations and stuff because it's all based on championship points. So it used to be, if you get like top 4 at regionals, you would get like an invite to worlds. If you got like top 1 or 2 at that regionals, you would get prize money towards that, or at least you'd get an invite and prize a travel stipend to go to nationals. And then depending on how you did at nationals, you know, top 32 at nationals, you just get to go to worlds off of that. And like the top rewards give you travel stipends to make it out to Japan or make it out across the country. So if you actually like, you have to qualify for nationals to then place at nationals to then go to worlds. Now you can just do nonsense events like this, you know, top 16 out of 48 people, and then you get to go to worlds. Last year it was top 32. Looks like they made it a little better with a 6 best finish limit instead of 8. But I mean, it's still all over the place because you have mid-season showdowns, so those just give you points for free. And premier challenges are the worst. There's literally 5 people showing up to a premier challenge, so 2 per series, 6 times 30, 180 points off of a premier challenge. Almost half of a worlds by just being the best player in your podunk honky tonk town that has 4 other players that show up to an event. It's ridiculous. But that's how it is. And then you can still just travel around. So the more accessibility you have, the more you go to worlds. With the online system, all of that changes. That it's the best player in that region online. Done. GG. Just like that. There's also like multiple chances to qualify. So say you have like a bad run, there's like 3 online qualifiers for the Japan thing, and then like the top players from that end up going to the international event. So it just makes it more consolidated. And then the prize table is all kind of screwed up. Like, it's technically a higher average payout, but there's a lower ceiling to it. That's just kind of been what we've seen from the Pokemon Company over the last couple of years. That it used, I think there was like they were boasting like how every regional event was like $100,000, $200,000 in prizes for the 2017 format because Pokemon Sun and Moon, when that first kicked off, like, there was a lot of hype. Pokemon was trying to make their competitive thing a scene, or competitive scene a thing, and then they completely dropped the ball by allowing hacking, having this terrible championship point system. So there's still like a lot of weirdness and nuances. Max prize cut from $5,000 down to $3,000, and it's just one of those things where we've been seeing the decline in quality overall. So that also brings us to like how it's luck-based as well, that just because you live in New Jersey, you're going to have the first take at regionals. What happens if you get first or second place at a moderate turnout event? That means you're going to have money to participate in the other events. So you can just kind of go to Knoxville and then say you win there, Richmond. Like, let's just say you are legitimately one of the best Pokemon battlers out there, and then you have the ability to make money to then make it to other events. Well, that's going to be easier to do at the beginning of the season, but say you live in Santa Clara, California, you get first place, but then you can't make it out to all these, like the other 2 remaining regionals or something like that. So it's like you got first, but you don't get to go to Worlds. The Internationals kind of gets in the way, and you can't snowball it to get the extra points. Or maybe if you get like top 4, top 8, and you have like a little bit of money, and that little bit of money helps out for making it to the next event or something like that. You know, $500, that's going to be most of like your travel. At least that's a plane ticket, you know, depending on like when you book it, get that round trip in there. I don't know. Like, it's going to be nice, but you don't get to get as much of an advantage. So you can't do that pay to win thing. Or if people just have the money, they go to all these, and it doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, instead of making it to where it would be better for everyone and a more happy, accessible format for VGC, they've decided to stick with the same broken format and then break it even more, because championship points, they don't work. You know, circuits work in other competitive games, but you need to be an esport first. You need to have the following, and then you also need to have a competent system. Not even 100 people are showing up to regionals anymore. So how are you, like, it just doesn't make it fair or balanced, and everything falls apart from there. So I don't get it. You know, they make like a slight change, like, oh, VG, like, at least it's less broken, but it's also less competent because it still just doesn't work in the end, that they don't learn from their mistakes, they don't make anything better, and there's still some way of cheesing it out, like winning Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and then qualifying for a new region and a new game and a new generation on a new console. So it's broken, it doesn't look like it's getting better. We'll see how it plays out. hopefully there's like a side thing, you know, if you want to, you can do all these like smoke and mirrors VGC things, but maybe they'll actually be like a real online competitive format, because there are the online challenges, select online competitions, but that's for everyone. I don't think they pay out based on your region, because like, you know, Japan, they always like take it, but then they don't get championship points because they already have the challenge. So I don't even know how those online competitions pay out the points, but if you're best out of more people, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of people enter online competitions, you get first place out of multiple regions, multiple people with a larger pool of talent where anyone can show up. You know, not that person that's actually like a god that's living in some kind of shack in Kentucky or something. They can make it to online. You only get 50 points. Whereas you get where's the regional championships? Whereas you get 60 points for being top 32 out of 100 people. It's so imbalanced. But if they buff up the online, then maybe it can be saved. I don't really see it, and then that still means it's like championship points. So unless they make it to where it's like possible, like, hey, if you get top 8 and online challenge, you just get an invite to nationals, and nationals is like, they should just need to scrap it, you know? Like you qualify, like I'd be okay with the championship point system if internationals didn't give any points. You know, that you get you need 200 points. If you get 200 points, you get an invite to nationals. Even though I still don't like that, because that means you get second place at a regionals, and you still don't get an invite to nationals or something. It's like, I'd have to really think about what it would take to make it good. But like, let's just say you just get X amount of points, you make it to internationals, points don't matter after that. That's going to be the best way of doing it, because then that makes it fair to everyone. You know, if I get a good online showing, then I'll actually make it out to the international event, and then I'll see how that qualifies for Worlds, instead of already qualifying for Worlds off of poor regional placement and a couple of international challenges while also being trash online. So that's it, guys. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hopefully things get better. Hopefully we see like some control happening in VGC, but it's not looking like that. That's gonna be it. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.